Hello and welcome to the third episode of Research and Design Build. This will be part one of a two-part series on creating this modern bookshelf. In this first part of the series, we'll cover all of the metal fabrication involved to create this bookcase. And as always, please like and subscribe. So let's get right into part one of the build. So in this part we'll be fabricating all of the steel required for this bookcase. So here I've got everything pre-cut to make the uprights. So this steel that I've got here is something that I've used in a few different projects that you'll see on the channel. And it's a 1.5 inch by 3/4 inch steel tubing, or rectangular tubing, with an 048 wall, I believe. So it is thin wall steel tubing, quite inexpensive but very strong once you get it all welded together, and works great for furniture type applications. And with that rectangular profile, it does lend itself to a more modern look. So this particular bookcase that I've designed is going to have 3 uprights. The total outside dimensions are going to be about 7 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and the steel portion is going to be 14 inches wide. Minus the 1.5 inch steel is going to give us about 11 inches for the wood where the books will sit. So here I've got the first of the uprights tacked together, and so I'm going to check this for square and then do the final welding. My chop saw got a lot of use throughout this project. Works really well with cutting through the thin walled tubing. However, there are probably quieter and nicer ways to cut out your material. A metal bandsaw would have been ideal for this application, would have led for a lot less cleanup, but you got to use what you got. So here I'm cleaning up all of the edges. These will make up the book ends. Keeping with the modern design, I wanted to have an open end to the bookcase. So these are a requirement just so that the books had something to rest up against. So utilizing some flat part and my TIG welder, I was able to close off the ends of all of the book ends, just to sort of finish off that detail and make it a nice clean look. I didn't add any filler material, not really a structural weld here, and so again I'm just trying to clean up that edge and make it as sort of smooth as possible. So here I'm using the TIG again, and I am welding the bookends to the shelf supports. and getting these prefabricated right now before welding those to the uprights that I welded earlier. So I've been going back and forth between the TIG and MIG welder here. TIG is fairly new to me, and so whenever I get the opportunity to practice and utilize it, I do. And this is definitely an application where the MIG would have worked just as well, but this gave me a chance to practice and do a little bit of detail work with the TIG. The only key here was to try to make sure that everything was aligned and that I had these centered on the bookshelf supports. So you can see quite a bit of smoke while I'm welding here. Probably didn't do the best job of cleaning off the steel prior to starting to weld it. It was fairly heavily coated in an oil that they put on it to make sure that if they are storing the steel outside or during transport, it doesn't get rusty. Here I've switched back to the MIG welder, just a little bit quicker, and got the right heat setting and was actually able to get the bead to lay down quite nice and flat. So, you know, being new to welding and sort of switching back and forth, just trying to hone my skills on both methods of fabrication and welding. I've got these bookshelf supports spaced evenly up the whole frames. So I've got 3 of these that I've done, and it was just tacking them, flipping them over, and then finishing the welding, making sure that I kept everything straight and square. Here I've got the frame fully welded and assembled, and I've ground down all the joints. Everything's got a real smooth finish to it. Right at the bottom here and right at the top, you can see 2 support pieces that I've welded in to tie the 3 uprights together. Now that top one I did eventually end up moving down to the second shelf, or just underneath it. Please like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That way you'll be notified as soon as part 2 is released. So in part 2 we will be covering all the woodworking portions of this video. We will be building all of the shelves, trimming them out, as well as doing all the sanding, the staining, the final application of finish, and the final assembly.